James, we have a little bit of a twist happening right now on the fly.
We've been doing that a lot lately.
Yeah, moment's notice. So this just came out of left field. And with that, I'm going to say welcome to this episode where I would normally say Coffee with Jim and James. Welcome to this episode of Coffee with Kelli.
Yes, absolutely, guys.
Yeah, tell us the scoop.
So,
tell us what your ideas are, because I'm all game. I took my glasses off.
It's getting serious now, guys.
Deal.
I see you guys at these shows doing these interviews with everyone else, and I see the post and that, and I thought, why not turn it around? And I want to know more about you guys and why you're doing what you're doing, what inspired you to do what you're doing. So,
okay,
turn it over.
You have the show.
Yeah,
we are your guests.
Madam Chairman, you have the floor.
So, whose idea was this to do this?
It was Jim's.
It was absolutely not my idea. He came up with the idea to save me. Quick story. Well, we're both going to do it. Quick story. COVID, 4 weeks into it, I normally traveled all the time, and I wasn't traveling. And he called me up and said, "Are you doing okay?" I said, "No, I'm stuck in a house. Luckily, I have a beautiful home, and my wife was in everything, but I'm not traveling. I don't know what to do." He goes, "I got an idea. We're going to do a podcast." And I said, "Sounds great."
Even a podcast then, right? We
No.
didn't know what we were doing.
We're going to do
We're
videos.
just gonna do a video.
Video outreach.
We can't be the only ones filling like this, right?
Yep.
And
on our phones. We did it on our phones at first.
There was a limit on LinkedIn that videos couldn't be over 10 minutes. And so that was our only parameter that we had going into it. And
so were you together when you did it? Or
no.
were you, okay, so you were
Florida.
remote. Okay.
In fact, the first video he did was out back, like next to his pool in his little tiki hut.
Yeah.
And
True.
he just got out there, and you can kind of, it's so depressing.
Oh, it's
We've
terrible
pulled
at the
those.
time. Yeah.
We still have them. We call one of them Pilot. It's so depressing to watch. And what I mean is you can imagine, go back in time to that time, right? We were scared. Everybody was. And we're sitting there, but you can just see it in our faces. And it was solemn, but it was very real. And once we put that out, we had so many people reach out, and we were right? That there were other people like us that felt the same way, that were suddenly not able to go out and
normality.
Reach their clients.
Yeah,
they weren't. We travel a lot. We see each other out on the road a lot. Those things were ripped away from us in a heartbeat, and it was a sad attempt to replace it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think to connect the gas industry together again, because we didn't have shows,
Absolutely.
We weren't seeing customers like we, often would. So I think that's interesting. So do you have any experience doing podcast shows or anything on this level?
I had zero, and when he came up when we were making this into a podcast, my first question was, "What's a podcast?" And he goes, "I'll walk you through it." And then the second thing, he goes, "Don't worry about it, because we were remote. I was in Florida, or am in Florida. He's in Texas." He goes, "We're going to do it via Zoom." Again, this was ground zero of COVID, and I'm like, "That sounds great. What's Zoom?" And so I literally had nothing. So James actually was the one that brought me along on this journey.
And
I believe
did you figure out the mute button early on?
Well, the good thing on a podcast is you don't have to ever mute.
Right, yeah.
So we were wide open the whole time. But it was a learning curve. So I'll be honest, in high school, so this will date me for sure, but we had radio and television, right? Like it was an elective. And in high school, I was blessed. In fact, I just reconnected with her on Facebook. By the end of it all, she was my debate teacher. She was my public speaking teacher. She was my radio and television teacher. And one other that I can't place right now. But basically everything that you can imagine that I use now every day.
Yeah.
But at the time, she was Carolyn Moose. Miss Moose was amazing.
Shout out. Jinx.
She really built that in me, but I did radio and television, but I was really into editing, and I enjoyed that part, piecing it all together, and so I was really interested. I was never usually on the other side of the camera. Fast forward, I've done a lot of stuff and created. I'm a creator. I love it. So doing this, it was an evolution. It was Zoom because that's all we had. We were on a budget. We were in the pandemic. It did the job, but it was always about iterating. right? We knew the first one was going to suck. We said it. It did. When you go back, it did. But after that, people began to tell us, what they liked and didn't like, and we kept crafting and recrafting, and we got better. I mean, there's something in reps, number one, right?
Yes.
There's something about just doing 4 years of anything. You're going to be top 5% of what you're doing, right? It's pretty simple. But I study a lot of what we do. I'm a nerd.
I don't.
I'm a nerd too, so we have something.
I don't.
But I also study people that do it well. Somebody asked me before, like, how do you vision cast as a leader? Just had this conversation last week. And I said, I learned how to speak to people. I learned how to tell stories and hone in on and remember the thing they just told me so that later I can use it against them, right?
Yeah.
And we laughed and whatever, but study your crafts. There's a million people. It doesn't matter if you liked Obama as a person. He was a masterful speaker.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't have to like George Bush, but if you ever, I got cold chills just thinking about his eulogy to his dad.
Oh, sure.
Like, that's one of the greatest things ever written. You can invoke that and cast vision or whatever it is, and podcast just was the outlet for it.
And this is a micro example of James and I, and as you learned in that little bit of segment, I said I don't. I get a lot of feedback from people, and especially James, we're very open and honest with ourselves, and we have that relationship, but we're very different, and I refer to us all the time as yin and yang. We fit together, we're very different, but we have a lot of the same synergies, and a lot of his strengths are my challenges, a lot of my strengths are his challenges, but together we really mesh and meld.
You're stealing my questions, but yeah,
Oh.
go ahead. No. This
Well,
is great.
welcome to
No,
podcasting.
it was a joke. But,
Okay.
but you're answering everything that I really want to know is how you got here. But not only that I notice, first of all, you have a huge audience now and a great feedback in that, but how you mesh together, and it does seem like you complement each other and are able to feed off of each other. But
There's
what
a
is
tension.
What have
He
you heard?
tolerates me. He tolerates me.
What
like
have you
the flu. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's okay. What have you found that has been the biggest impact on the industry in doing this? Not just on the level of exposure and really highlighting, the experience in the industry and what other people do, but what have you found the most impactful?
Well, for me, and I say this all the time, if we can help one person do one thing better, more productive, safer, then we've done our job. And so for me, if I'm understanding it right, it's a feedback that I hear from the people saying, that really helped me. And it could be a thought leadership series that we've done. It could be something about a safety initiative. It could be a rule and regulation, whatever it is. But that's what I thrive on.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of in the same area, or I'll qualify it a little bit more, because for me it goes a little deeper because I hear it a lot. And maybe because I'm a little more open about it, or I've posted about it, or maybe because I post more. But in the last 18, 20 months, I feel like our industry is talking about mental health a lot more. After we came out of the pandemic, everything from suicide rates to everything backs up that we're in another pandemic in a way, right, in mental health. And so being able to bring that in, I feel like we did that.
Yeah.
In a way. And like some people were talking, but people stop me at every show and say, keep posting.
Yeah. Yes.
That post, somebody stops me. I got cold chills again. Someone will stop me and say, hey, that post about your mom, like,
Yeah.
and that tells me that we're reaching people.
Yeah.
I think too when you bring your kids into it, because I've seen some things that I think are really cool. The exposure and just letting people see the
Not
real
everybody
world.
agrees.
you
Let's
know?
just say that. I mean,
Yeah.
LinkedIn's a place for business, right? But we talked about that over the last couple of years. Is that line got blurred a lot for us. The business and home got merged together.
Sure. That was a
People in
reality,
sales
and it was
people
okay.
that travel. We've lived
Yeah.
that way, but I think, how can you not sit in this room, and there's literally people with family in here because they brought their families,
Yeah.
and say we're not family, and those things aren't impact my business, because guess what? My daughter's birthday's tomorrow. Guess what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to go home. Like,
Yeah.
and everybody here is going to know it, and they're going to support it. Like, why wouldn't you want to know those things? Like, that motivates me just as much as whatever the next innovation is that you guys bring to the table, if not more, right? Like,
It's
that's the
connecting,
truth of
though.
it.
But people want to connect with you, and that's why I wanted to do this, because the more I connect with you, the more I want to listen to what you
learned
have
so
to say.
much about you today.
You know,
You know what I mean? I told you you're the most fascinating person.
Whatever. But there's
Without a doubt.
yeah. So I think that, you know, what would you have requests to talk about more topics?
Well,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, since you brought the mental illness issue.
I would say that a lot of people, once we started the thought leadership series of events, whether it's 7 Habits or into the mental health, and the mental health was hard to do because you really had to open up. And the more that we opened up about ourselves, the more that people really, I guess, gravitated toward it and actually would then be brave and help themselves to talk about it. So that one, and getting back to, you showing your children on there, our industry is based on relationships.
Absolutely.
First and foremost, we've known each other well over a decade. And, we see each other and it's like old friends saying hi to each other again. It's not, starting over. And so when James or anybody brings their family into it, it's just all part of normal life for us in this industry. It's the biggest, smallest industry that I know of, the natural gas industry. So
Absolutely. And getting the message out there when you're exposing, others, whether it be vendors or, regulators or whatever, is in the
Why
industry.
do these people sit down? Like, really, we joke about it all the time. We'll be sitting down with, like, the director of energy or something, somebody who should not be sitting down with us that has handlers,
Yeah.
And we'll tell them, we'll get on the mic and go, listen, we're a liability. Like, why'd you sign up for this? You're crazy. We interviewed a senator in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And why?
But it helps to bring, I think, awareness. Like we talk about people talking about energy and natural gas and, emissions and the push. And I think it does bring to light how forward-thinking the natural gas industry actually is, and how we are moving towards those efforts and have. And so I think it's great that you do bring people to the table that handle different aspects of the industry. But it's nice to know that, your audience is more than just the natural gas industry. So that's why when you bring up topics, you bring interesting people to the table, you are connecting with others. And that's so
getting
impactful.
out of that echo chamber that we all live in here. So
Absolutely.
It's easy for us to stay in here and talk to ourselves, right? But I feel like every time I have a lot of people from my previous life, which was not natural gas, more just traditional tech, and I'm exposing them every time, you know. And I have people talk to me and like my posts that I know what their choices are and their thoughts are. And I know that our message is reaching them too, and in a time where we need it. That's the truth.
But
We've
you guys
said
are
it
real,
over
and that's
over
what I
over.
love about it.
Well, okay,
it's
let's-
just
To
it's
a
real.
fault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's a good thing though.
If you were around, if you've seen us at a reception, you know what's in the coffee cup.
well,
Wait.
wait.
I mean, you're getting what you get. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
throw a
yeah,
fit,
yeah.
or
But-
you do, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
watch
yeah.
somebody else.
But-
I mean, there's plenty of options, energy choices.
Yeah, but we made a conscious
just
effort, though. Back at the beginning, I used to read, like, welcome to this episode
My name
of
is Jim.
Shower.
Yeah.
I mean, it was terrible.
Right, yeah.
And then finally, and James, like, we just got to be ourselves.
Absolutely.
Just the same way we are at a conference, the same way we act, the same way we act, whether it's, in front of 100 people this morning when I presented on, what was that today? Tracer, or we're at the booth or wherever it is. Just be ourselves. And that's what happens here. And you're seeing what we're like.
Somebody asked me the question the other day, like, what do you see? Like, what does success look like for the show? And sometimes we forget, and this isn't a plug, but people forget that behind the show is our company, right? Is Energy WorldNet, right? And
100%. Without that, we're not. We're
right.
No.
And so it's been an interesting mix, right? Because we're vendors. You know how vendors
Yeah,
get
yeah,
treated.
yeah.
They're suppliers or associates or whatever you want to call us, right? Salespeople. That we've got to come out here and do this is awesome. But when we get out here and we're representing our company and we're in front of these people, like the show has brought us to tables that we've never been a part of. We've got to be a part of events that we've never been a part of. And the company has supported us the whole time, even when the show was absolute garbage, Jim. And you know it was. Those first ones were so bad. We had a group that said, I guess we trust you. You know, just enough that we'd get one more episode out and we'd sit down with another awesome person, or like you said, but we never let quality, like, stop us.
But you know what? They trust you. That's one thing, and I'm going to give a shout out to Jeb Bell, who's the president of our company, and it goes to leadership. Leadership that believes in you is so important and so impactful because it goes back to trust and making the right decisions. They trust you. You know what I mean? To get in front of the camera and to be able to speak on behalf of the industry, but on behalf of the company, and that goes a long way. You know.
So to put a bow on that, I know I
Go
didn't
ahead.
wrap that story.
Do it.
But what I told the person that asked was, it's a way that we get to personify our values, right? The plaques on the walls, the stuff we say is one thing, but we're on camera a lot. We're on camera, we're on audio, whatever it is, and if there's no reason it can't be fun as one of our values,
Yeah.
then you're gonna get
fun.
it, right?
Well,
You
I was
said,
going to
"It's
ask you, we
fun,"
were
and
going to
laughing.
flip to the humorous side of it because, you know, when you're doing anything like this, you have to be able to be quick-witted. You have to be able to come back because you never know what someone's going to say on this side of the table.
Oh, no.
right?
Oh, no.
So I wanted to know, like, what is the most, like, your first time that you were like, oh, well, we need to respond to this, or, you know, you can't control, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't think of an actual incident. Can you?
Well, not
Well,
everybody's
one?
comfortable. You know, I mean,
There's
do
some
people freeze
comedy.
up,
There-
you
I
know?
will tell you, there's some funny moments in there. I think it melts most people's brain. Well, I think it kind of did yours in the beginning. Like, oh, y'all aren't going to edit this? I'm like, nah.
Oh, yeah, we don't edit.
You know.
I know,
For the
that's
most
what I
part.
wanted to know.
So I
Like,
have
is
a
it
funny
scripted?
moment.
I don't
Yeah.
think it is because
No,
you pull
we
people.
have a flow sheet.
You know,
like
I see you go,
ish.
hey, come over here.
Oh, those definitely aren't.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Nothing here
No,
is
no.
scripted.
We
no.
grab you.
That's
There's
great.
3 questions.
It's
we
even
do.
more real.
It's
you
off
know?
the cuff.
Yeah.
It's
We had some funny moments though. We had a real beard Santa Claus that worked for us. Red Shaw, shout out, retired from EWN.
that was a good one.
And we had
that was a
him
good
on
one.
before he left, and we talked about his career there and stuff. And this is back in
The Zoom
we were doing
days.
full 30, 40-minute episodes. And we're bebopping along. We're like 30 minutes into it, and he goes, guys, can I take a break? He was an older gentleman, you know, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
he was retirement age. And we were like, sure, yeah, anything you need, Red.
We're like,
and he
let's-
goes,
let's-
gosh, man, I needed a drink. And I was
Okay.
like,
and the
all right.
whole time I'm drinking in the background. I'm like, you know,
So that
Yeah.
became part of our onboarding was, hey, you can drink coffee. And we even tell the story. He just halfway through.
Was he a bad Santa?
And we left
I mean,
it
was
all
it-
in.
no, he's a great Santa. He was a professional
Yeah.
No,
Santa.
I'm joking, like, you know,
Oh, I
bad
see what you're
Santa.
saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Or
hard to be-
I remember at the beginning, though, all of a sudden, like somebody's dog would bark in the background. Oh, do we have to stop?
Well,
And
shut
then
it down.
Then we
Yeah.
started to tell people up front if somebody walks in, because it's during COVID.
Yeah.
Kids come in, dog starts to bark, just acknowledge it.
We
You know,
had-
don't sit there
Yeah,
like this.
it'll go viral at that point,
A
right?
dog is barking.
Yeah.
We had one young lady on, and I can't even place the people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sadly, we've just had a lot of
Yeah,
people on.
hundreds and
I
hundreds
can't
and
name who it
hundreds.
was,
And I don't want you
nor
to name
would
people
I
either.
name this person either.
Yeah.
But she came on, and we were like, "Hi, oh, it was so good to see you." And Jim's like, "I ran into you and your colleague," and she's like, "Yeah, my colleague." You're like, "Yeah, what's his name?" And like in a moment, you realize that she has no idea who her colleague's name is. Like she had just met him, and she freezes up, and I realize it. I'm like, I'm taking a drink, and it's like.
And
It's
I
on
couldn't
camera,
remember.
It's cold.
that's
It's
right.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a good
blooper.
because I couldn't remember the gentleman's name, and I'm like,
We did stop that one, and we
Yeah, we're
did
like-
That's why I call
re-record.
all the guys because I can't remember their names. I say, hey, buddy.
Hey
Yeah.
there,
You know?
little bud.
Yeah.
she was mortified. Getting back to that
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
though, you have to think about how we interact too, like Steve Allen is doing over here. That's the type of same time conversations we have here.
Yeah.
So the ones that happen there and the ones that are happening behind us, that's all that happens here. The only difference is this is going and that's going.
Right.
Yeah,
And then
that's how we onboard people,
and-
right? It's a conversation. It's like you're drinking coffee at a conference,
Yeah.
right? And no different, right? I mean, we've been
Just
drinking
try
and
not to
talking
swear.
all day.
Well, I have to figure out if you
Jim?
guys are live or not sometimes, because then it'll be me dipping behind you to scoot through to the out
Just-
to the
we're
exit.
always
You know,
live.
yeah.
Just- that's a
This
good
is
rule of
funny,
thumb.
right? Always live. No, I mean, for real, because it's cool to know. Like, by the way, for those listening and watching, these guys are the same off camera than they are on the camera.
That's
same
true. We're actually
same
worse.
sense of humor. You know, just hilarious,
Yeah.
great, but
Ridiculous.
wholesome, genuine guys. You know.
When James and I imitate each other during COVID, we got so stir crazy. I came on one day with a baseball cap and we started to use that.
The peacock. The peacock himself.
So I came on, I had a baseball cap and a hoodie. I'm like, morning, everyone. Very excited today.
Listen, you would geek out.
It's
One
a
day I'll
heavy
pick it
lift,
up.
heavy lift,
Yeah.
heavy
You're
lift.
so stupid. We recorded. No one knows this, nor should they, and now they will. But somewhere, and I'll show you because you're cool.
Oh,
Not
thanks,
y'all.
thanks, man.
What are we talking about?
The Christmas.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
We listen. Pandemic, you get a little stir crazy, right?
Uh-huh.
And we saved a lot of money that year because we didn't have Christmas parties.
we didn't have a
nothing.
Christmas- yeah, it was
so
first-
we got to the end of the year, and it was like, guys, we're not going to do anything. Like nothing fun. How do you make it fun? And they let me produce it. And we
I-
recorded the whole thing on Zoom.
yes.
And we wrote, oh my gosh.
Was it funny?
It's funny and dumb and funny.
And
But the funny thing was is
And dumb.
they knew we were making something. And the gold, though, was when we got people on and we asked them the one question. Because everybody knew we did one question. So it was like, oh, cool, we're going to be on like an episode of Jim and James.
Yeah.
They didn't know what we were going to ask, right? And it was a setup the whole time. So we go on there and it'd be like, for instance, if you were an employee,
Yeah.
and I would go, and Jim was your boss, right? We'd be on there and be like, so, like, how long have you hated Coleman? Like, and that was like the owner. And he vetted it. He was like, yes, please, like, make it uncomfortable.
And so, like, the person would be like,
And
Yeah,
so
like
they
what?
didn't know.
If you had to
Oh, this
vote
is
off
great.
an
And
SL,
we were-
you had to vote off an SLT member. Which one would it be? And they were like, and we caught all those. So that was like the
Yeah.
outplay. Like
those were
you
fun.
know,
That was funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was funny.
More so when the people said,
So we're
oh, I would
just
get
as
rid of
ridiculous,
James
if
or
not
Jim.
more. Yeah. That
Or
was
the best one. Jeff, being a member of SLT, does your back still hurt
Yeah,
from having to carry all the weight?
Oh my! Oh, that's yeah.
And we called
That's
out
great.
like we have some family members.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And we would, like just they were on the nose, funny things like how do you feel about nepotism? Like just and they.
Yeah.
And then it was obviously a joke, but man, it's.
But
gold.
it was
And
that
we
was
did.
gold.
It was like 40 minutes when we got done.
And that prompted us to
so
do more stuff during that
ridiculous.
virtually. We hosted an SGA event virtually, a game show.
shows. We did scavenger hunts. We did all kinds
See, and I
of
think
stuff.
you guys bring so much more fun to something that's serious. You know what I'm saying? Because
Man, listen, nobody wants
you
to
break
sit
it
around and
up.
listen about cathodic protection.
No, they don't.
They don't.
I do.
Oh, okay.
Corrosion.
Jim does.
Let's
But,
talk
I mean,
about
it's
corrosion.
the truth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
we
no.
do.
It's an added
Right.
twist. It's an added flavor. It's
is.
just like when you have.
You should book us for a keynote.
Well,
we're a blast as a keynote.
We've done. I mean,
Now
we,
booking.
well, we've done how many? We've done a lot though lately
Yeah.
because people have seen this. They see the way that we gel, and we give a keynote where it's both of us, and we go back and forth, back and
It's a
forth, back and
blast.
forth,
It's a
and it's good. And we talk about our industry. We talk about the multi generations. We talk about mentorship. We talk about having a seat at the table. It's a wonderful keynote, and I'm thrilled every time we give it. We're going to actually give it in 2 weeks again.
The point is that we're blessed.
Yeah, with
Well, I think it's cool,
beyond what
and
we
you
deserve.
guys are so great together. But I think this is good too. I want to bring up the fact that we have so many new people coming into the industry, younger people.
I know.
This kind of makes it like
I
it's
got
an
here as quick as I could.
It makes it more fun. Like when you listen to you guys, it's like fun, yet it's informative,
Yeah.
and I think it's attractive for the younger people coming in.
Someone told us the other day that they actually used it when they got into the industry to learn about the industry.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like as
yeah.
an onboarding tool. They were,
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's the stuff we like to hear, because that's what, in my mind, that's what I did when I got here. Was I was blessed to get to come out and come to events like this,
Yeah.
and you could sit at the booth and wait for people to come to you. But when it was slow, I went from booth to booth, and I painted in all the spots, right? Like, so I was like, cathodic protection. Well, what does that do? Well, then I'd be like, oh, it's so all of a sudden,
Yeah.
oh, so integrity management programs make sense now, and then move on to the next thing in asset management. Now that makes sense. Well, where does OQ fit in? Now we have 200 episodes, we have 600 guests on. That's a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a ton
If
of.
you
I'm
think
surprised
about
as much as I see it on. I'll see another one pop up, and then I'm like, this is
Have I
cool.
seen that? Oh, no, this is somebody
Yeah,
else.
it's something different. So I have noticed you have someone else on the show now.
Our producer, Ashley
Yes.
Jesco,
Yes,
Yes.
over there. She can't hear you. But
She's ignoring us.
Right.
Like she
So,
does.
she has
Usually.
ears. She hears everything.
so what made
just so
you
know.
want to bring her into it as well?
Well, I think first and foremost, I don't think people really understand the amount of support staff we have.
Yeah,
They-
actually, it's just one part too. This show from the beginning. Yeah, talk about that.
Well, I mean, we have a whole support staff behind us. I mean, we can go through everybody in the Energy World Net brand department and more that help us, whether it be education, whatever, but the brand department really is first and foremost. Ashley has been part of that, and that she, this year, just because of the momentum that we're going, she's actually our producer. Actually, that's her title right now. So she's helping to wrangle us because we have a lot of things going on in the hopper right now.
Yeah.
And 2024 is poised to be probably, it will be an epic year for us.
Well, that's why I wanted to kind of go into 2024 a little bit.
Yeah, and do we need to give shout outs to everybody behind the scenes? Because, again, nothing would
I
happen.
think it'd be great.
We have,
Yeah.
we
I
have
mean-
a great design team, and we can name people, but they know who they are. We've had a lot of folks that helped us because the events are their own animal too, right?
Part of the pie.
It is, but behind the scenes, you're right. There's booking people. There's talking with associations, negotiating, in between where we can bring it. Because the truth is, we can't be everywhere. Our schedule. We really do have a job. Like, we don't just sit in a studio recording all day. Somebody said, "Man, it must be nice to do that for a living," and I was like,
Yeah, no.
It would be nice.
It would. I
Yeah.
agree. But the truth is behind the scenes, it does take a village to pull it off, because the output is, once this part's done, from there, the sky's the limit with what we do. We're pumping out content as fast as we can now. So we've already put out content while we've been here this week, right? But then also, we're getting it ready so that flies off the shelves for these associations and these events for
Timely.
months
Right,
too.
yeah.
Well, timely to begin with, but then for months they're getting exposure, and we need it.
Right.
I'm good. I'm down with that.
So, do you have a coffee that you need? We're going to hook you up with some
Personal
type of
branding
sponsor.
coffee.
We would
Coffee.
love a coffee
yeah,
sponsor.
so I'll help you with
I'm
that.
going broke on coffee right now.
I'll help you with your coffee sponsor. But so, with everything that you've done and how, just in a couple of years, how this thing is really, we're in the natural gas industry, so I don't like to say blowing up, but how it's expanded, what's next? Because I'm interested with the impact that you've made with this. What's on the horizon?
Oh, there is so much on the horizon.
Are we in the horizon? I don't
Right.
know.
Well, we're in the horizon. We're gearing down here at the end of 2023. We're in the fourth quarter. And this is just indicative of the way things are going. I think we added 3 events at the end of 2023 that 6 months ago we really didn't know about.
Yeah.
And so things are going, and people have already asked us about 2024, major players in our industry who, again, come back in to host us. But there's one thing, but the biggest thing is that I think we're going to get deeper into some subjects. I think James and I both said that, and he uses the term leaning in, and I'd say we're going to be definitely leaning into a lot of different and more expanded or diverse segments of our industry.
I think we're also looking for value, really for everyone. So this past year, and APGA is no different. When we were at the annual, we sat down with SOAR members and we asked them a lot of questions. And then the output of that, we were able to put something together for APGA and give that back to them. It's important to sponsor. We sponsor a lot. I'm sure y'all do too. It's important to network. We do that a lot too. But when you can actually give some tangible thing back to, we don't get to do that a lot. It's
Provide
not like
meaning.
I'm going to give you some valves, APG.
Right, yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
But for us to come back and go, oh, by the way, we captured all that, we edited it down, and here, use it however you want. It's our gift to the industry and to you guys. Like other associate, it's a big, small industry, however you want to say it.
Yeah, I saw
We
people
sit on a lot of
requesting you
boards
guys
and
from
committees.
other areas now.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
pretty.
yeah.
It's pretty interesting. We can't be everywhere. That's the truth. You asked why we added Ashley before. That's part of it. We can't be everywhere. She
Right.
adds the ability for us to be in more places. If I can't and they can, great.
And they just did it 2 weeks ago at Texas
We did.
811.
It was
I couldn't go.
amazing. Right?
They
is
knocked
great.
it out of the park. They
I love
crushed
it.
it.
It makes us more flexible.
Yeah.
And it adds a different flavor. You've got the female perspective.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
there's
I like to
still aren't
think I'm
as
the
many
new
of
guy.
us.
I still think I'm the new guy in the
think it's
industry,
great.
7.5 years in. But the truth is my lens is jaded now too, right? And so adding a new perspective is amazing.
Agreed.
We're going to continue to look for ways to add value in the future. We got some big stuff cooking
Yeah.
right
I'm
now. some
excited
big
to hear about
partners,
it. Yeah.
I'm excited. We're so blessed.
Yeah.
So, are you doing any type of launch show for 2024? Any
I don't
kind
know.
of big shebang,
Yeah, so we're cooking it up. We're doing something a little bit different this year. We're excited about. More to come on that, but I'm not going to break it. I can't do it.
No, I
can't do it.
I'm
That
not
was
going to
like
pull it
the-
out of you.
That was a
so
political.
close. It's
Yeah.
so close.
Yeah.
And we're so excited because it's something we've never done before.
Yeah.
And we believe that it'll just another level of the show. We're so thankful that this industry has given us a shot to
Yeah,
do it and trust
absolutely.
us enough to carry this message, and we don't want to mess it up.
And truly humbled. I would say we are humbled each and
So
every
we are
day.
patient, and we will announce that when we are ready.
Right. But I think this opens it up. This podcast opens it up for other people to ask questions about what you do.
Sure.
In the feed, just on a not just a professional level, but how has it changed you on the personal level of doing this? What has it opened up in you? Because this does, when you're exposed to an audience and you know that you're making an impact, how much of a difference? Because you talk about being blessed. But it's purpose, it's, whatever it is. for you.
Interesting. Go ahead.
I don't mind talking
Go ahead.
on that. So I mentioned it earlier, people have stopped me in the hall. On days where I wasn't that motivated when I woke up to do it. I mean, you know exactly
Yep.
what I'm talking about.
I sure do.
I remember the person, the place, and the time, and those keep me going, and they keep me putting out content, which is important because I realize that we don't have a lot of content creators in comparison to other industries. We're getting more, and people are seeing and copying, and I love it. More podcasts than ever before, but 97% of podcasts die, right? So we're going to lose some. We're going to add some. We're going to keep doing it. I'm glad people are out there talking and doing it. I want to be an example for that. We have people come by that say, man, we need to be louder, we need to talk, and then we say, well, come on and join us, and they go, well, I'm not the guy. You are the guy. You are the
Right,
gal.
right.
You are the person. We're
Yep.
all the person. And then we have people that go, you know what? You're right. And
Yeah.
they sit down and they share their story and it's amazing. And we have one more person talking pro natural gas.
And they take what they did, knowing that they're doing it in front of a camera on a mic. All of a sudden, they're over there saying the same thing. Hey, I was just on there. I was just talking about this. And
Yeah.
it seems weird because it's like, why didn't you talk about it normally? But they're like, well, I guess now it's official that I can say it. Or, I don't know.
Or they're
Sometimes-
nervous, but I will tell you that the camera, even though it's it's a higher end podcast camera, is not large, so it's not intimidating. So don't let
And
it
that's
deter you
intentional.
from
this
coming
is
on the
kinda
show.
pretentious, but
It's not. It's not
if
an
you saw it without
intimidating.
it, you
Right,
would-
right.
You would gripe about that too.
Right. So, but this is exciting to be able to finally get your side
This has been
of it.
Yeah,
a treat
it's been a
for
blast.
me.
This is fun. It's very
Yeah.
different. It's
Yeah.
very weird.
You-
And I just want to say one thing from my perspective. I'm at the stage of my career, and I would say that I'm getting into the fourth quarter, where it's really fun for me just to be myself and to know that what I've known for over 22 decades, 20 plus years, is accepted still in this medium where people are like, this is great to see and such. And again, that's more selfish, personally looking at myself. But, just like giving that presentation today, I don't change who I am anymore, because I used to be like when I gave a presentation, okay, I need to be on stage. Now I just am who I am. So even myself have said, it is who I am. If you guys like it, great. If not, somebody else can give the presentation. Like, no, we want you, and I'm like, great. So it's
Yeah.
more validation of that. If
That's
that
a
makes
really
sense.
good point. Such a pro podcaster. I'll close with this.
Go ahead, sir.
About 5 years ago, Jeff Isabel, our president, a lot of people know him. He's been on the show multiple times. He's now my boss again,
My boss too.
which I love. He
Oh, we
doing
love you, Jeff.
Yeah, we do, man. He was doing my performance review. I don't know. Can I talk about this? HR?
Sure you can.
It's
I
fine.
think
It's
so.
fine. I'm disclosing it. It's
Yeah.
fine. Anyway, it wasn't very good. No, I'm just kidding. No, he was talking about he wanted me to find my voice in the industry. I remember it so vividly. And I was like, Jeff, I'm not this industry, right? Like I'm not from here. I don't talk the same. I don't act the same. I got Snoop Dogg on the wall behind me. Like I'm just saying,
yeah.
I just got here. And he was like, yeah, so find it, right? And fast forward, I was talking to him the other day, and he said, I think you found it. He remembered, right? And I remembered it. And I went and looked it up, and that is exactly what it said. And so what I'm trying to say is for everybody out there, that we all have a voice, a lens in the air, right? And we all have a message. And our stories, when people can see themselves in them, helps us to spread that narrative. It's not an attack. I hate when we hear we're being attacked.
Right.
No, they're out there telling better stories than we are.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
And they're deliberate and they're intentional and they're whooping our butts at it. Because we're scared to grab a microphone because that's not who I am or what I do.
Right.
And I think there's value in every one of these stories that we have. And that's that.
That's a pretty nice wrap up. But anyway, I just wanted
You
to
keep doing this, Kelly. You
I-
do a little bit more TV or radio or
Well,
something. You
right,
maybe could
right.
get some accomplishments like
I
Jimmy.
don't know. If
Yeah.
you Google
Yeah.
Kelly Tidmore,
Whatever.
you're going to be amazed at the
Unbelievable.
things that you will see in
Okay.
the production and directing.
Unbelievable.
There was a rule that we weren't going to talk about me, but
Oh, that's
you
right.
know,
I'll
but
let that
I will.
slide.
I mean, I will. As again, I do work for a great company. You guys have a great leader, and I think
Amen.
leadership is so important because we all know the fish rots from the head down, and if you've got a good one, then that's great.
Wow, the fish
I know
rots
it
from
does.
the head
It
down.
does. So as long as you have a good leader,
Yeah,
everything
absolutely.
else falls into place, and people will work hard for people who care about them.
Yes, absolutely.
And so,
100%.
amen. But thank you guys for what you do. Thank you for bringing what you bring to the industry, and I hope I have an opportunity to do this again, maybe even midway through next year.
Let's check
Because I
back
want to.
in.
I want to
That's
see.
a pro move.
No, I mean, I want to see what.
She just
what,
invited herself back on our podcast.
I did.
I think
did.
so.
No, but I want to see, even if it's off camera, I want to see what's happened from now through that.
Good news, Kelly. There's a good
Yeah.
chance we'll see you next
All right.
year.
Yes,
Yes.
there is. There
It's
is.
a hot
yeah.
chance.
I'm going to say there's a really good chance.
Yeah, right.
So, and there's a good chance we're going to be sitting in front of microphones next year. So I think
Fantastic.
we're on board for
All right.
a mid-year
The
touch
stars
base.
will align.
All right.
Kelly,
Thank you
so
guys.
much.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
We'll be back. Or we won't.
No, this
That's
episode
it.
of Coffee with Kelly has been brought to you by Jim and James.
Amen.
How's that?